Welcome to Technical Difficulties. This show is going to be a combo of troubleshooting, a production log, behind the scenes, and sort of a tutorial for some artistic endeavors. And in this specific episode, we're going to be talking about a video game track that I'm making for a level in an upcoming game called Stormward Sails, and that's a battleship top-down kind of game. And this specific theme on this biome is a luau. Now, the musical process for me can start in a variety of ways, but in the spirit of Mario, I'm trying to channel this Koji Kondo vibe. This one started out with a melody. Most of the Mario music has pretty strong melodies. And this was the first line that I sort of had dancing around in my head. Alright, and from there, I kind of want to establish a chord progression around that. That's in the key of C major. So the next step was doing some chords. Added an extra guitar. I'll unmute that so you can hear what that sounds like. And the strumming on GarageBand isn't great. This is a pretty old Mac. It's from 2008. And this is what that sounds like isolated. It just sort of has a little pop. And I'm trying to follow this melody around to create a logical chord progression. So we go from C major to E minor to A minor to G to F to G. And that's just for the first part of the melody. And then I'll show you that. One fun fact about writing melodies is that when you start phrases off, like for example, the first phrase of this melody starts on the beat, and it's nice to mix up when you time that. So in this section, it's the second part of that melody. This sort of hits with the chord, but you can hear that. It hits on the and, so 1 and 2, or 1 and 2, do 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 do. Gives a little flavor. And then I have a different one right here too. Leads into it. It hits on the one here, but there's that note before it. Makes it a little bit different than each phrase of the melody. Alright, and then now we're on to... We're going to repeat that melody a little bit. Repetition sort of builds, helps it to be a little bit catchy, and then you can expand on it and make variations of it. And then for the second part, repeat that idea again. So at the end here, I changed this up because for the next 2 8 bars, we're going to do a different idea. And for that, change up the chords a little bit, and you get to build a little bit of tension, straying away from the normal chords we were using. This part, let's see, right here. Right there's a lot of tension. That's a C dominant 7 chord, and in that you have an A sharp, which normally isn't in the key of C. And then here you have an F, F minor, into C. And that's called a minor plagal cadence. And that's also borrowing a chord from outside the key, and it just adds a little bit of flavor to it. It has this nice relaxing vibe to it. Now for the counter melody part, or not counter melody, but sort of a counter mood. Instead of the regular C major progression, I'm just going to do a C7. And the rest of that, I was kind of messing around with chords to see what I liked, and I went from C7 to F7 to G7, and then back to C. And it's just this very nice, mellow, seventh chords. Major seventh chords have a very nice, relaxing vibe to them. Repeat that melody again. And that was the same. Start on F now, build some tension. A sweet minor chord, another borrowed chord. Now at this point I have the two sections that I want, and I actually kind of like this chord progression. It's mellow, and I'm thinking about using this for the intro to lead into the song. So I need something to take this and get it into that main melody that we worked on at first. So I came up with this cadence, and it's a little nod to Koji Kondo. It sort of sounds like the Super Mario Brothers theme intro, but it's just a little nod to where the inspiration and influence kind of comes from to build this melody. So we got this now. That sounds pretty nice. And then I wanted to add a variation of that cadence, and that's a 5-1. That's going from G to C. So if C's the 1, G would be the 5. And it's just a very dramatic sense of tension. And then after this minor playable cadence, I added a variation of that 5-1. It goes into the second melody. And now we're looking at adding some percussion. I felt like some conga bongo drums. I think these are congos and the bongos are the bigger ones. Actually, from the MIDI, I'm not sure what the difference is because it's not labeled, but this is just one of those kind of drums. And I added something like this to it. This is what it sounds like isolated. So we add that over our two guitars. And right here, I felt like that needed something, so I put a little shaker in there. A little shaka shaka. Sort of using that as the kind of like a hi-hat functionally, sort of just keeping the time. Now I think these two instruments can pretty much hold down the percussion end of it. I'm going to add a couple embellishments. This was some kind of like steel drum thing. I should probably know the names of these instruments. Oh yeah, I added some snaps. A little reverb snap. And this extra one. right here. I had some extra guitar things I wanted to add. This... Let's see here. Unmute these. It's a little slide thing. These are velocity sensitive, so I put this on its own track. Because it has to be loud enough to register this slide on the acoustic guitar, and then I just put it on its own and then turn it down because it would just be louder than the other instruments, and it's just sort of a filler sound. So this is what it sounds like with everything else. Then I had a little flute fill in there, and then there was a little seagull sound just to fill out that little soundscape. So, pretty much have everything in order, and now I'll show you this from start to finish. And then right back there, it just loops. It loops back into that first section. Each of these levels is going to be about a minute or 2 minutes, I'd imagine. And I kind of try to time them out so you could hear the whole thing at least once. And then if you're sort of taking your time and enjoying it, you might get to hear it a couple times. So yeah, that's sort of the process for writing a track for one of these biomes in this game. So yeah, thanks for